pieces of work. And then there's other times when they're out on the lawn. They're out on the lawn, and it's a nice dewy lawn, and it's a warm morning. You know what I mean? It's a warm, and it's a little piece of work. It's a little thing. And I wonder why on earth would you leave it? It's so important. It's something. It's the process of life. It's a cycle. It's stuff goes in, stuff comes out. It's so important. You need it. We all need it. But see, I like to take them and I like to lay them out on a board or on a sidewalk or something, and you let the sun bear down on them all day long, and you let them dry off, and then you scrape away the skin, and then you're left with this tiny item, this ball, this little piece of matter that matters, and then I take them and I spray them with shellac, and then I drive a screw into them, and I let them harden in a clay oven, and then I put them on a string, and either I put them in my pocket or I wear them around my neck, and when you scrape it off, and that leaves the shit skins. Rocks in my pants up. Shit skins. Rocks in my pants up. I love you, Grandpa. This one goes out to Grandpa Bill. A drunk son of a bitch has been dead for a couple years now, but I still miss him. See ya. Thanks for mowing the lawn again like I asked you. You kids don't do a goddamn thing around here. You just lay around all day and watch television. Fine, fuck it. I'm going on down to the American Legion, post 299. I'm gonna tie one on. No, oh no, Joe, I'm gonna go. Joe, could you fix me a ham and cheese sandwich? Joe, want some butter for my tea? Well, that's it. I'm gonna head on home. I'm feeling pretty good, Joe. I think I'm gonna. Oh Jesus, here comes the curb and oh Jesus. I think my shoulder popped out again. Hey, paramedic man, could you pop that back in for me? Huh? Hey, could you pick up my cigar and Joe? Go get Joe. I need Joe. Joe! Could you just help me? Just help me get back into the house. All I want is a little bit of Kessler and a couple of Rolling Rocks, huh? Please, Joe, Joe, Joe! Back me! 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 Joe! Back me! I'm a tree sandwich! Joe! Joe! I want some butter for my tea! Joe! 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 Well, all right. You know, we gotta tell a little story real quick, okay? I used to spend a lot of time reading about torture. I consider myself a little bit of a connoisseur and an expert on methods of torture. I believe that while our military forces and those in China and the Soviet Union have all pushed the trade to an upper echelon, we can't be remiss and forget our past and forget some of those who were here long before us and their wonderful techniques. And for those of you who are uninitiated, of course, I'm speaking of the indigenous people, the Iroquois Indian of the upper New York Plains. Now, they had some of the most wonderful torture techniques. And, well, you know, some of their lighter fare was such as taking a man and slicing the skin off the bottom of his feet, and then they'd take corn kernels and pack them in, and then they'd sew the skin back on with leather banding, and then they'd force them to run around a fire pit. And if they stopped running, they'd jab them with torches. It was pretty neat, I imagine. But that really pales in comparison to a rather vivid tale recorded by some of the early cavalry. You see, one time, the Iroquois Indian took hold of a man, and they decided that they wanted to roast him over an open fire on a spit. Speaking of spit, you know, that doesn't smell like the stuff we were smelling last night. Anyways, so this one lucky fella, he kind of won the lottery of hell, if you know what I mean. They put him, before they put him on the spit, they jammed about 4 or 5 pounds of raw meat up his ass. The story goes that it was bacon, for those of you who've got a preference. So they jammed some, I'm guessing, peppercorn bacon up his ass. And then they tied him off to a spit and left him there to roast overnight. Well, now, given that this group, this band of Iroquois, had some predilection to the imbibing of certain alcoholic grain beverages, they passed out. And this lucky fella, you know what he got to do? He got to get free. He got to get free. But the fun part of the story is that he was about 5 or 6 miles away from his home camp, and it was freezing ass cold, and there was snow everywhere. He was gonna die anyways, except for the lucky lunch pail of his anus. He actually lived on the trek back to the camp by eating the meat out of his own ass. Now, if that doesn't make you feel like reaching over and hugging somebody that you're standing next to, embracing them and just thanking God to be alive, and that there's probably fast food nearby here, then I don't know what will. And as a very nice, tidy segue, we will go from one song or story about pulling meat out of your ass to my personal favorite story about putting meat into somebody's ass. And it's the last of my anal fetish songs, okay? I promise. Making a bid for your digested meat. I wanna feel your colon's heat. I'm busting wide open your cushion seat. I park my pink wagon in your brown street. Bend up, let me see what you weigh. Band up, do you wanna taste? In your brown cabin I'm gonna burst. You might even bleed, you might need a nurse. I'll stab your back crack with my buck sword. What you hide in the back, you can't be ignored. Oh no. Band up, let me see what you weigh.